Hello everybody, Loki Magics, another day, another video. But today's video, we're going to talk about Faction Wars. And I was able to beat Stage 14 with my Sacred Order faction. And my view on Faction Wars has changed a little bit. I do think the rewards in Faction Wars are complete trash still though. I don't think that would change unless it changes itself. But I just wanted to talk about in this video and showcase the difference between Stage 7 and Stage 14. And also how I see Faction Wars now, and if it is even possible to complete Stage 21 the way it is right now. And also a few things I did notice that Faction Wars has done good, and why Faction Wars could be not as bad as I initially thought. So, you know, if you're interested in all that, stay tuned. But let's get right into it. Okay, so I wanted to start this video showing you the high L's on Stage 7 of Faction Wars, just to drive in the point, right? And my point is, when I first did Stage 7 with the high L's, it took me longer than I think it took like 5 minutes for me to beat it, but I was able to upgrade my champions. As you can see, I do have some very good champions here. I upgrade their armor and they have great synergy. So this took less than a minute to complete. But when you go to Stage 14, which I'll show you here after this, it gets way harder. It gets a lot harder. But the thing is though, surprisingly, I believe it is possible to clear all this content. There's just a huge downside, and the downside is you need to pull good champions to do it, right? I mean, that's been the name of the game the whole time, but we'll talk about that. Let's get into Stage 14 so you can see the huge difference, but it is possible. So there is hope, guys. There is hope. All right, so this is Stage 14, and this whole thing took about 9 minutes, so I'm just going to cut out and show you sections of this run. But pretty much though, I just wanted to go over while this is playing in the background that Faction Wars is kind of fun actually, because now I found myself, you know, when you're farming or you're doing even Dragons 20 for some people, you know, you just put it on auto, right? And with Faction Wars, you actually do need to pay attention. You actually do need to know what you're doing and try to time your attacks and build, you know, min-max and build your your team composition a certain way in order to clear it. If you're going for stars, if you're just going for clear 1 star, fine, whatever, right? But if you want to get all the stars, doing it on auto will make that a lot harder. And I do know on this video I have these guys on auto. It's just because this is a great team and it makes it easier to do. But for my other factions, I do need to sit down and take it off auto, and sometimes it takes longer than 10 minutes just to clear like Stage 8 or 9, right? And it is entertaining. So I think in that aspect, it is quite nice that Faction Wars does bring a challenge. And after today, that I was able to do Stage 14 with my high L faction on auto, it did take a long time, but I was able to do it. So I do believe it is possible. So with that being said, I do want to mention some tips though. So one of the main things I think that's going to help you succeed in Faction Wars is you're going to need a strong revive champion with high HP, because people will die and you just can't help it. The opposition has great setups too. They have good synergy within their team setup, so people will die. So having a champion that could revive not only will help you get stars, but also will help you, you know, push your team forward and get through the content. So revive champions are a must. Kind of piggybacking off my first point, but it kind of all goes into each other, because when I first pulled Raglan, I was super disappointed. I was like, man, I don't know what to do with her. She's not great in many places, but in Faction Wars, she's actually good, because this heal comes in handy, and also this miracle 8-3 skill where she revives and you could bring it down to 2 cooldowns. That thing is amazing in Faction Wars. So she has a place now. She was just sitting in my vote. Now I use her in Faction Wars. Also, she was sitting in my vote because at first when I pulled her, I was like, HP burn, oh great for clan boss, but she's really not that good for clan boss. But she's a legendary that has block debuffs and heals, and you know, leech, so she could add some more healing aspects to the team. So these two synergize well, right? She could revive, she could heal. But the thing though, I know, see, this is what kind of sucks about Faction Wars, is that you need to pull certain champions to progress, which in the end makes sense because it is in-game content and you want to have the best champions to beat the best content, right? But the rewards don't really match, and we'll get into that too. But I just wanted to point out something else. Some factions are better than others, which many people probably realize. Like this setup here, right? I don't want to go too off topic, but this legendary attacks all enemies. He buffs and he heals and takes away debuffs, right? And then if you get this one, this dude is nothing but heals and poisons. Like this faction would be awesome. If you have this guy here and this guy here, you're good, you know? And then let's throw on this guy. Look at this. He has speed buffs, increased attacks, heals, he revives, right? So some factions are better and some factions are not so good. Like the Dwarf faction, man, like I'm not even really gonna get into it too much, but they're kind of lacking in some things. So some factions will be easier to clear content, but also at the same time, the game is not done yet, so they're probably gonna make more champions, and hopefully there'll be better ones for the factions and overall for clan boss and other content like Spider 20. So we'll see how it all goes, but mainly the good side is some of these champions in your vote now do have a use case, which is a good thing. That is always a good thing. But here inserts the problem. So we talked about the good things and why Faction Wars is actually fun and challenging, etc., which is cool, awesome. But the thing though is that reward system at the end of Faction Wars is just straight garbage, because you're going through all this work, right? You're struggling to pull the right champions. You finally get the right champions. Now you gotta level them. You have to use your resources. You have to use your books, and so on and so on. All that takes time. And by the time you clear every single faction, stage 21, 3 stars, everything, right? I know the roadmap is not done for Faction Wars, but you know, by the time you get all that done, do you really want Sacred Shards? So here's my point, and this is like probably the biggest turnoff to Faction Wars. If they had something like Arbiter 2.0 or something, because with the missions, at least if you beat it, you got Arbiter, right? Which is cool. Even though you could pull it from Void Shard, which was like a huge letdown when I found that out. But in Faction Wars, they have a chance to make this right. You still need to add the last four factions into Faction Wars, and then maybe when the reward system gets pushed out further because of the new factions, they might add like an Arbiter 2.0, like I said, and it'll be unique to Faction Wars or something that will make you stand out, something that will make the challenge and the difficulty of Faction Wars with the amount of time you use go hand in hand with a really nice reward. If they did that, I believe Faction Wars would be perfect. So they're almost there. I actually think Faction Wars is a good thing now. I think just the reward system makes it almost not worth it, and I'm sure they'll do something. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way, which in conclusion, I would like to know how you guys feel. I feel like Faction Wars is good. They brought a lot of new things to the table. It's more challenging content, and it's also nice to pull out your old champions in your vote and actually use them, because you know, you realize more mechanics of the game, so you grow more and maybe you can see things different, and it will all contribute to you beating the clan boss, right? Oh, and as you see, we just beat this thing. It took 8 minutes and 15 minutes compared to stage 7 where it only took less than a minute. So you see, it does get a lot harder. But anyways, in conclusion, you guys take care, be safe, and yeah, tell me how you guys feel about Faction Wars. I like it, but I would love it if they added better rewards, something unique. So that is it for me. You guys stay safe. See you later.